My name's Chris Alexander. I wrote Star Wars Origami, 36 amazing projects from a galaxy far, far away. I've been doing origami for 45 years now. I may not look it, but I'm almost 50. And started when I was 4 years old. Been doing origami ever since. Star Wars came out when I was 13. 15 years ago, I put the two hobbies together, and it was magic for me. The first one I made was a B-wing fighter. I was teaching some kids how to make a penguin, and I was thinking about the penguin on the way home and decided I could take the penguin wings, turn them into the little cannons on the ends of the tips, the feet into the primary cannons, and the head into the cockpit, and I made a B-wing starfighter. I was so happy to have created my first Star Wars model that I set a goal that I would teach myself to make an X-wing by the end of the month. I did make the X-wing, showed him to a few friends, and one friend said I needed to make a book out of Star Wars origami. He talked me into it, and 15 years later, it's a reality.
2 rules for origami. Never, ever violate the rules. If you catch someone violating the rule, please feel free to slap them upside the head. First rule, accuracy is very important, right? Always try and line up your edges, your creases, your corners. The more accurate they are, the easier it is to do the models.
I've done about 70 designs. Like, there's 3, 4, 5 different versions of the lightsaber. I'd count that as one. There's several different designs for the clone troopers. I'd count that as one as well. So roughly 70 or so, but maybe a few more. I haven't really counted exactly how many I've got. Covered all 6 movies. I haven't touched the cartoons or the spin-off series yet. But that's probably my next project.
The book has 36 of the projects. How did you decide which made the cut and which didn't?
That was hard. It was like deciding which of your kids you want to take on a trip and leave the rest home. It was really difficult. I wanted to cover all 6 of the movies, so I tried to cover as many as I could, or have a few from each of the movies. There's several different types of origami. There's origami that uses a square, some that uses a rectangle, so I wanted to include some of those in as well. I had way too many from episode 4, the original Star Wars movie, so I had to cut some of those out. One of my favorites was the Y-Wing. I had to leave that one out. And I had to make a few more at the last second because Lucasfilm demanded Darth Vader, Han Solo, Leia, and Luke. So that cut a few more out so I could make room for those models, which I had to create within 2 weeks. That was a challenge. So the editor had a little bit to do with it. I picked some. We wanted all levels of difficulty from really easy to insanely difficult. So origami artists who are really good still get challenged a little bit, and still young kids can do the simplest things like the lightsaber and the sandcrawler. So that's what determined which 36 were going to be in the book. The overall vote from all of those categories.
You said Boba Fett's Slave 1 was the hardest one for you to come up with.
Definitely the hardest.
You want to tell us about how that came about and how many tries you went through?
I couldn't even tell you how many tries I went through. I made Boba Fett's helmet almost on a whim. I was just fooling with some paper and realized where I was halfway to the helmet. Just polished off the helmet, and it's one of the most popular models. Also, it was in the original trilogy plus the newer trilogy. So it was something I had to include. It's one of the most popular ships in the Star Wars universe. The trouble is the shape of the ship. You've got a lot of mass in the center, a lot of mass on the wings, and no mass in between the two. So you have to have that gap. And to make the model look right, to make it look as good as popular as the ship was, I want it to be that detailed. Took a lot of work finding ways to hide the excess paper inside the struts and inside the fuselage without making it look like a blob, and yet at the same time making it easy enough that someone who has at least a little bit of experience with origami can follow along in the directions and make the model. I went through design after design after design for about 7 years, and then I took an old design that had failed and tried a new attempt at the struts, and once I got that, I knew I could make the rest of it from the wings, and then it was just a matter of polishing off the rest of the little details.
So what is the next big piece of origami that you are trying to do?
I'm still working on a 3-piece Darth Vader helmet. I want to make a 3-dimensional helmet that's true to the original 3-piece helmet. The collar comes up to the chin, the headpiece, and then the helmet that comes over the top of all 3. I want them to be, each piece to be 1 piece of paper. I want them to lock without using glues or tapes, and I want them to look pretty darn good. That's going to be my opus piece. I've got the base, I've got most of the helmet done. or I should say the faceplate done, but I haven't found the proper way to lock them yet. Also, it looks like the squares are going to be of different sizes, so I've got to get the proportions right. But once I've got that all put together, that's going to be my Mona Lisa, my Sistine Chapel.
Would that be your selling point to Lucasfilms to let you do a second book?
It might be. I don't know if I'd actually include it into another book, but hoping to talk Lucasfilms into the next Star Wars Origami book to coincide with the movie coming out in 2015.
Will you be at the next celebration?
Absolutely. I'll be teaching the classes, I'll be teaching at the tables, and I'm hoping to talk them into letting me do the life-size origami again. So maybe another round of Jabba the Hutt and the Millennium Falcon, and I'll have the audience do the folding with 12-foot by 12-foot paper.
And how is your publisher to work with on the big projects? How they work with you on what you
They were really good with this project. They let me have, for the most part, they just let me run with it. And then they did put a few restraints on me with some of the artwork that they wanted to put, because they thought the artwork looked better. And a little bit of artistic difference in that area, but for the most part, they just let me do everything. The problem I'm having now is that they don't want to put out another origami book that might compete with the one that's out now. I think of it more as a sequel, which will actually, the two books will help each other sell, but they don't see it that way. They're worried about it actually taking sales away from one of the other books. So I'm trying to talk them into another book. That's my next project.
And then what beyond that?
Beyond that, I'm working on a super secret squirrel thing. It's something that's never been tried in origami. I'm keeping that under wraps for now. But I've shown it to a couple origami grandmasters, and they were very impressed by the concept. So if I can come up with another 10 models in this new version of origami, I'll release a book on that. I'm calling it Shadowgami for now, just to throw something out there. I'm also trying to put together another book, kind of a household pet origami, but of a more of a stylistic animal shapes. So cats and dogs and birds, things you're familiar with around the house, but with a slightly different slant than the traditional cats and dogs and birds that have been out there already. So those are two I'm trying to polish off and finish up.
People want to find out more about it. Tell them about the book and the website.
My website is starwarsorigami.com, and it has all of my models, the 70 models plus the models that are in the book, or I should say the 70, including the 36 that are in the book. There's also pictures of some other exhibits that I've done, and some things I've done with some kids, and I have a guest artist alley, so people who fold my models send me a picture, and I post it up there with their name and where they're from. As far as buying the book, you can buy it anywhere books are sold. You can't really get it through my website, but you can get it at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or Target or any bookstore around the corner. Most people are carrying my book, so it's easy to find.
And what's been the best thing that's happened for you by doing this?
The best thing that's happened is that when you take 15 years to put something together, you don't want to see it fail. You don't want to see people laugh and go, oh my God. But people have really loved the book. It's gotten really good reception. They like the diagrams. They like the trivia that's in there. They like the extra little parts. The paper is in the back to make the models look even better when you fold them up. So the book has been really well received. It was for about a month and a half in the top 100 Amazon sales, and it reached I think the lowest number I saw was 29 in their sales. I was totally flabbergasted. So it's been doing very well, and that's the biggest reward for me, more than seeing my name on the cover of an official licensed Star Wars product. Something has been a dream of mine since I was 15, 13 when I saw the movies, but I'm just really proud that it's doing well and people are enjoying the book.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Just that origami is an awesome art form, inexpensive. You can use any paper. You can do it anywhere with whatever you've got laying around. And the best part is if you screw it up, you crumple it up, say it's an asteroid or a soccer ball, toss it in a trash can, try again. It doesn't cost that much to work with it. You can find origami directions for just about everything online. YouTube has got some great tutorials for making everything from famous little cranes and birds and cootie catchers all the way up to some sailing ships that have square rigging sails and a full hull and beautiful stuff. So it's an easy art form and anybody can do it. You just have to actually practice a little bit.